Okay, going to record a quick video here going over the new Cassia talents. So first up, we have Thunderstroke. So this increases the damage by 25 and you get 5 armor. The way avoidance works now is this is regular armor, not physical armor. And you gain 10 stacks as you're walking around per second. And then after 3 seconds you will have 30 stacks, which is 30 armor. So the patch notes read that this gives 5 avoidance stacks, but it's just 5 armor. The 5 armor isn't that big of a benefit. And the damage, I think you would need at least 100 stacks, if not closer to 200, for this to actually be worth it in terms of damage increase. So I feel like this is pretty underwhelming, and I don't think this is really viable. Maybe still an ARAM, but in a real game, I wouldn't really pick this talent. Impale also seems very underwhelming for me. Fend is most likely used to just reposition, and most of the time when you're casting it, it's a bad repositioning tool. You pretty much only use it on like minion waves or something, either as wave clear or just to get away and to create distance. It's not really used for the damage. You would probably rather be auto-attacking safely from range, and so the additional damage from this is pretty underwhelming. So I think Charge Strikes is the best level 1 talent by far, and probably the playstyle that you should play with. This tooltip is kind of weird because it's not actually a bounce, so you can see here if I'm attacking these, it'll only bounce to the middle one here. It won't chain to like the third target. And it's not because it's not in range, it's just actually it works similarly to Arsenal Synergy or Give Them Some Pepper, where it's actually just basically a splash attack, and the range on it is pretty big. It's about a Johanna Condemn range, or I can demonstrate it later in this. So that's the level 1 talent, that's what I would recommend. Okay, level 4. Inner Late, pretty good. You get a burst heal over 5 seconds, and when you're hitting people with Q, you can lower the cooldown. On average, this is probably going to be around a 20-second cooldown, maybe 20 or 30 seconds. If you're not going Q build, if you're going Q build, you can probably get it to be as low as like even 5 or 10 seconds. So this could be pretty good for Q build, but I don't think the damage of Q build is really there, and the damage scaling of the auto attack build seems way better. So I wouldn't really recommend ever going this talent, and I don't think the burst heal is enough comparing it to like Fight or Flight on Raynor that ever makes this likely worth it. And I think you would rather go one of the other talents because I think you want to play a more sustained style fight, and you don't really have the burst healing that Raynor does with like Paint Them Red at 16 and stuff to make the armor even better. So or to make the like burst heal like needed and even better. And you have blind, you have like a little bit of self peel tools and stuff like that. So this is possibly viable if you really need it for some reason, but I think you'll most likely want to go one of the other talents. Okay, first feedback. Ring of the Leech, this currently is a noob trap talent. The way this works is it only heals off the primary auto attack target. And it also works on your Q and E, which is kind of nice for E. It's a little bit of a burst heal, but not really. So the problem with this is it doesn't work with the charge strikes, like chain bounces, splashes things. And so you don't ever get any benefit from hitting multiple targets with charge strikes. So you can see when I just hit a single target, it's 40, 40, and then 48 per attack. And then even when I'm splashing with 3 targets, it's still 40, 40, 48. So yeah, currently it's a noob trap because if you work out based on her attack rate and the damage that this is doing, that the overall like damage from this is roughly around 45 seconds of health per second. And then if you look at Blade of the Whale, this just straight up gives 46 health per second because it's 31 plus 15. So yeah, and it works while mounted. So this you have to be auto-attacking constantly and in fights to get that damage and healing, and this is just passive healing. This is really insane. This is really good, and it works while mounted. It means you're going to start the fight at 30 armor. It means you're going to start the fight with +2 range once you get some later talents, so this is really good. So Play of the Whale is currently just strictly always better than Ring of the Leech, and Ring of the Leech used to be good because you could use Surge of Light to get a big burst heal by hitting the AoE on a bunch of people that were blinded and stuff, but that no longer really works. So Play of the Whale is currently strictly always better. Alright, second feedback. Play of the Whale says it works while mounted. Avoidance works while mounted. Okay, so you can see right now I'm not mounted, I have 30 armor, and now I'm going to mount up, and I'm going to stop channeling. The mount takes 1 second to channel. I'm going to stop to channel the mount, and then I'm going to immediately start moving again, but you'll see my 30 armor is going to drop. So you see it drops, and then it has to start all the way back up again. So first feedback is that avoidance should last longer. By default, I think 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds would be better, so that this doesn't drop when you're mounting, or you just need to make the talent increase the avoidance duration or something, or you need to say like avoidance doesn't decay while channeling mount. Like you could do a couple weird things to do that, but I think just avoidance baseline should be fixed. So There's another bug, which is currently it's the same as mobile offense. If you are stutter stepping and you do it too short, you can not refresh the armor buff between attacks. You can see I'm doing it here. I'm not refreshing my armor buff between attacks, despite me moving between them, and it's just because I'm stutter stepping too fast. And yeah, currently this shouldn't be possible, so avoidance having a longer duration would also prevent this from happening, I believe, or the tick rate just needs to be increased on avoidance, same as mobile offense. It's the same bug, but yeah. So that would be my suggestion and feedback there, is so that you have the 30 armor, you mount up, you keep the 30 armor, and you don't have to like wait for it to come back again, because that's really weird and dumb quality of life thing. All right. Here, basic attacks grant mana. You're not really mana hungry, so that's kind of not that useful. The blending light cooldown, it's nice, but again, it's only on the primary hero. If it had some synergy with charge strikes, that it would be a bit better. Or it's just like a 10% DPS increase when you're hitting a target with blinding light. It's not that beneficial. 10% is pretty minor. You can compare it to like Ace in the Hole on Raynor, except it has much lower uptime. So yeah, not really that good. Fend slows enemies. Again, you don't really want to use Fend, and like slows are plentiful. You're going to want to be drafting Cassia in a team that has a bunch of other slows and stuff already. So this is bad and like has no purpose actually. Surge of Light, really good. You're going to have a lot of fight sustained healing, and you're going to be taking fewer damage with your 30 armor. So you can take a bunch of damage with this, and then a 650 damage burst is like, it's like an ult. It's like Kira's like final strike damage. Like it's big damage. So yeah, picking this, definitely the best talent to take. And you can see this is about the range of the avoidance, so it's a pretty big range. It's about Johanna Condemn range, and that's roughly the same range that your attacks will bounce, the radius that your attacks will bounce. So you can see if I'm standing here, it will hit targets roughly within this circle from that primary target is where the splash will hit. So you can see it's pretty big range. Pretty good. I think Valkyrie is most likely the pick at level 10. Just having any sort of CC or repositioning or self-appeal is nice. Mostly you'll just use it to try and get a pick. Ball Lightning, it's kind of a meme at 20. It does damage, sure, but usually CC is better. Alright, levels 13. I think Gloves of Alacrity is really good. It makes you have Raynor's basic attack range of 6.5, so that is very strong, especially combined with Blade of the Whale. The War Traveler would kind of synergize with Blade of the Whale to fix that one issue with the avoidance thing, where mounting is instant. But you really, like 15% movement speed isn't that big, and compared to the range, you'll definitely want the range increase a lot more, I think, to just get more consistent damage and take less damage overall and things like that. And range is probably the best general increase you can give on like any ranged auto attacker pretty much. And then Fend grants protected. This has some potentially niche uses that it could also be good, and it lasts 1 second after the channel is completed. So it lasts a 2.5 second protect. You can use that to make yourself a lot tankier versus a lot of stuff. But the problem is that's only really going to be useful until you hit level 20, unless you're up against very specifically percent damage, which is pretty much just last rites. So yeah, or maybe like Cursed Bullet or something, but it's pretty unlikely you're getting hit by Cursed Bullet. So it's pretty much just last rites that this would help you defend against. Most other things are going to be negated by your level 20, so you won't really need this, I don't think, and the attack range is going to be much more beneficial scaling into late game, and even in the meantime you'll take less damage, so you'll have less need for the protected anyway, but you'll also be doing a lot more damage in the meantime. Okay, level 16. This is same as it used to be, basically. The Blinding Light is, again, useful for some of the other talents and some synergies with Q build, but I think Q build is generally underwhelming overall. Fend releasing Charge Bolts. These basically are your Q at each nearby enemy hero, and the range for an enemy hero is about the same as your avoidance range again. So when you pick this talent, it'll release Q, and I believe that does synergize with the Inner Light cooldown reduction. So that's a potential like synergy there. Same with this, I think, I guess. With the Pierce. But Martial Law is really insane, so this is probably now up with Phoenix's Offensive Cadence as the best Giant Killer talent in the game, or Maev's 16 Phantom Knives thing. So basic attacks against heroes that are CC'd, it's like a normal Executioner or Exterminator type thing. Not Exterminator, Executioner. Deal bonus damage equal to 3% max health. Most Giant Killers are either 1.5 or 2% per attack, so this is 3, and it works with the Charge Strike Splash, so this is really insane. The best way to demonstrate this is with the Root and Silence in solo play. so I'm not going to pick that to do that right now, but you can trust my word that this works with the Charge Strike's basic attack splash. So that working every third auto attack, splashing for 3% max health is really good if you have an enemy team that's like clumped up and all slowed and stuff like that. And also just very good as Cassia is against like Deathwing and Garrosh and stuff like that to do percent damage. Alright, level 20. So the Root and Silence, it looks nice on paper, I think. But the problem is Valkyrie's pretty inconsistent to hit in the first place, and it's pretty inconsistent that you're going to even hit anybody on the path, like once you've even grabbed that first hero. So silencing and rooting them is like really good afterwards. It's almost a stun. They can still basic attack, and the damage is kind of nice, but it's pretty underwhelming, I think. It's hard to see this ever getting reliable value. So basic attacks ignore armor. This is obviously really good against Deathwing and Garrosh again, but you're already getting martial law, so this isn't as necessary as you think in those matchups. I would still pick it in those matchups, to be clear, but outside of those matchups, I don't think this is as good. And then they deal additional 20% bonus damage. It's additive with the 20% bonus damage from charge strikes, so they're not multiplicative there. And then what I think the best talent currently is for level 20 is probably Rockstopper. You instantly get Avoidance fully charged, and you increase the armor value to 60. This is really insane. This means you're more than doubling your health bar, so you're at like 7k HP on a ranged assassin that has 6.5 range. That's also healing, and has like, you can do 650 damage burst at level 20 again, that scales. But if you lose Avoidance, you remove the bonus. So the problem currently is if Cassia gets hit by any root, any stun type of CC, that you will drop the Avoidance, and having that 30 armor loss or the 60 armor loss is pretty rough. And it's a cooldown of 30 seconds, it lasts 4 seconds. Currently, I think this is the best talent. Against some CC, it's hard to say what would be the best. Maybe one of the other two would be better, but that's my current recommendation as far as a Cassia build and a playstyle. And then you pretty much just play like this. I think some of her best synergies are going to be other heroes that have reliable slows. So Lunara's probably good, Jaina's probably good, Thrall with Earthquake is probably pretty good. Attack speed is also going to be very good so that you can get more bounces out in a shorter amount of time. And have higher burst. So Rhaegar Bloodlust obviously is good. Stim Drone probably pretty good. Stuff like that. So yep, that's probably where I would say the new Cassia is at for now. You definitely need to be mindful of where you're aiming your auto attacks. The bounce will work even if your primary target is a minion, by the way, or like a structure, and then you are just splashing a hero nearby. So similarly to like the way Phoenix works sometimes is that you'll intentionally hit minions instead of heroes just to potentially hit more heroes with the actual splash and stuff like that as far as damage goes. So yep. That's where Cassia is at currently. That's my couple suggestions and a couple talents to avoid that seem underwhelming and probably need buffs. I think probably they should just remove most of the Fen talents and replace them with Q or some other type of talents or something that are more interesting. And yeah, currently I think she's pretty strong. So yeah, that's my build and recommendations for new Cassia.